Hello Internet, I am Jackson and you are watching Destination Jackson. Recently I spent 3 months in Japan, moving all over the country and learning a lot about the culture. While I was there were a lot of things that kind of caught me off guard. So this is 9 surprising things you would not expect from Japanese culture. First on the list has to be bikes. The sheer number of bikes in this country is absolutely astounding, and it did not matter what city I was in, everyone was riding a bike. I also learned that you do need to have insurance on your bike. In order to have one, it needs to be registered. It is an entire process. As a tourist, I was not allowed to purchase one, travel it for the 3 months that I was there, because they knew that it would just get left somewhere. Wherever I went in Japan, I found bikes outside of every single building. They even had bike parking lots, some of them very, very high-end as well. But what I found in a lot of places is that none of these bikes were locked up, and that kind of baffled me. And that brings us to the second thing on this list. Japan is ranked as the 9th safest country in the entire world. Canada is number 8. And I don't know why I'm surprised by that. Once you really think about it, Japan is a country run on honor. Honor and respect are 2 big elements to their culture. Anything you do to harm the honor of your name or your family's name is held to be a very, very serious offense, and I believe that that contributes to the overall high safety level of this country. Now, don't be mistaken and think that anywhere you go is going to be completely safe. You still have to keep your wits about you, as you do anywhere in the world, but Japan is actually an exceptionally safe country. The third item on this list is the level of cleanliness. Japan is a gorgeous country. It has mountains and the ocean and beaches, and it's gorgeous everywhere that I went. And part of that is because the whole country was the cleanest thing I've ever seen in my life. And that is kind of baffling considering there are absolutely no garbage cans, and it's astounding that you can walk 15 city blocks and not find a public garbage can. What's even more baffling is the packaging used on all of their products. If you go to any convenience store and grab a bag of cookies, have the bag, a plastic container, and each cookie is individually wrapped as well. So that amounts for just an insane amount of garbage for absolutely no reason. So it's even more surprising that they're able to keep their country so clean. I mentioned convenience stores, and they are the 4th point on this list. The convenience stores in Japan are insane, and I love them. They have a number of different convenience store brands, even things like 7-Eleven and Circle K that you would see in the States, other things like Family Mart and Sunkist, and a handful of others, and there are probably about 3 convenience stores for every city block, and that's only a slight exaggeration. In these convenience stores, you can find anything from your regular chips and snacks and things like that. You can also find fully prepared meals and sushi. You will have sushi in a convenience store that would be better than almost any sushi you could find in a restaurant in North America. In North America, in a convenience store, you do not eat the prepared food. It's just not safe. It's not a good decision. In Japan, you can live entirely on prepared meals inside of convenience stores. They'll even heat them up for you. You can have curry, you can have noodles, you can have anything. It's delicious, and I highly recommend it. It's very inexpensive as well, and that's a great way to save money while traveling. You can also find a ton of other random things. You can find t-shirts. I don't know if 7-Eleven has some fashion sense. I never really bought them, but you can find so much in these convenience stores, probably even phones. And that brings us to our next point. I found a strange amount of flip phones in Japan. And that's very confusing to me, as Japan is always stereotyped as the country with the furthest technological advances, so I was very confused when I saw the amount of flip phones that I did. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2, it was a daily occurrence. On the subways, no matter where I was, there was always someone with a flip phone. They used their cameras on it. It was a genuine camera phone, old school Razor style. I was confused by it. It happened a lot. Something else that I was not prepared for and kind of caught me off guard was the neutral color palette that everyone uses in their fashion. In any major town, the vast majority of people dressed in neutral colors. Beiges, pale blues, grays and whites and blacks, and that was it. I hardly ever saw fluorescent colors. This was the most fluorescent thing I could buy in Japan. I don't really know the reason as to why. Everyone kind of blended together as a result. Maybe it's part of their culture to not want to stand out of a crowd. Everyone kind of puts their head down and does their daily activities and doesn't really interact with other people unless they have to. So I don't know, maybe that had something to do with it, but I probably shouldn't really speculate, so I guess we'll never know. I didn't ask. Another fashion trend that was kind of bizarre is that it's actually very attractive to be pale in Japanese culture. People go to extreme lengths to ensure that their skin remains pale. It's kind of confusing to me, especially considering the weather is insane. It's always hot and humid, and people will wear long sleeves just to keep the sun off their skin. They will also wear strange Darth Vader masks to keep the sun off their face while they're riding their bikes around. It seems wildly impractical, and it's just kind of a trend I didn't expect at all. Especially in Western culture, everyone wants to be tan. I like pale people. I'm pale. But I didn't expect the Japanese culture to embrace being pale. One of my favorite things that caught me off guard in Japan is the Jap Nap. Now, trains will take you everywhere, and if you want to save money, that's a great way to do it. It's inexpensive, and they traverse the entire city. My favorite thing about these trains is that people would manage to fall asleep sitting or standing, and without missing a beat, always wake up in time for their stop and get off the train and go on their day. It was absolutely hilarious, the amount of people that I saw sleeping on trains, and never once did I see someone miss their stop. It's just instinct, and they managed to soak up a few Z's at any point of their day. I kind of envy it. Last but not least on this list is the bathrooms, and if you've been following my series and my travels, the bathrooms are something that have kept me entertained at every turn. There are a number of videos that I have featuring small snippets of their bathrooms. Some of them are technologically advanced and you need a physics degree to operate them. They have buttons to lift the lid, to lower the lid. You can play music, you can play ambient sound. I don't know, it's just bizarre. Some of the buttons were in Japanese, so I didn't know. Most of them have built-in bidets, and I want to bring one home. I want it in my house, and that's it. I don't care. I want one. On the other end of the scale, I also found some bathrooms that were very questionable and things that I would never use in my life, including the Squatty Potty, which is pretty much a hole in the floor that you literally squat over to do your business. Never once used those. There was even an instance on my way to the top of Mount Fuji where I found a toilet gun. It was basically the only way to flush it. You had a gun and you shot it into the toilet to open up the flap in the bottom. And I don't typically enjoy toilet humor, but the bathrooms in Japan had to be one of my favorite surprises. That is the list of the 9 happiest surprises I found in Japanese culture. If you want to check out any of the videos from my 3 months traveling around Japan, please find the playlist in the description of this video. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and stay tuned for next week's video where I tell you about the 9 stereotypes you absolutely had right about Japanese culture. As always, please follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and keep track of my travels all over the planet. The planet this week. Planet. I hope to see all of you next week.